Cooper Lutkinhouse is 17 years old. He still goes to high school in Texas, still does homework, still worries about exams. On March 22, 2026, he walked into a Polish arena and became the youngest individual world champion in track and field history. Not the youngest this decade or this generation, the youngest ever. Cooper was born on December 19, 2008, just north of Dallas. Running was part of the family. His dad, George, ran the 800 for North Texas. His mom, Tricia, was a state qualifier in the 4x400 relay. His brother, Andrew, ran 150.04 and now runs for Tulsa. The Lutkinhouse family knew speed, but none of them had ever done anything close to what Cooper was about to do. His freshman year of high school told everyone that something special was happening. Cooper went undefeated in the 800. He won 3 national meets and the Texas Class 5 state title in 149.84. He clocked 47.33 in the 400. At 14, he had sprinter speed and the lungs of a distance runner. Nike noticed. They picked him for their elite program, which only takes 40 high school track athletes in the entire country each year. Cooper was only in 8th grade when he got that call. Sophomore year is when things started getting serious. In June 2025, Michael Granville had held the American high school record since 1996. That is 29 years. Cooper erased it at the Brooks PR Invitational with a 146.26. 2 weeks later, he pushed it to 145.45. A 16-year-old was destroying records that had survived 3 decades. That 800-meter final was loaded. Donovan Brazier was in the field, the 2019 world champion. Bryce Hoppel, the American record holder, was there. Josh Hoey, the 2025 world indoor champion, was in the mix too. These were not just good runners. These were the best American athletes alive in this event. Cooper Lutkinhouse, a 16-year-old high school student, lined up against them. With 300 meters left, the 4 pros broke away. A normal teenager would have accepted the gap and held on. Cooper did the exact opposite. He launched his kick. He ran down Hoey, Miller, and Hoppel. He could not catch Brazier, who won in 142.6, but Cooper crossed second in 142.27. That time shattered the world under 18 record by over a full second. The previous record had stood since 2011. Cooper became the 4th fastest American in history at that distance. Brazier stood in the mixed zone after the race and told reporters, "This kid is phenomenal. I am glad I am 28 and maybe only have a few years left. I hope I do not have to deal with him in his prime." A world champion was already warning everyone about a kid who still had homework waiting at home. That race earned Cooper a spot on Team USA for the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. At 16 years and 8 months old, he became the youngest American male to ever compete at a world championship. Tokyo did not go well. He finished 7th in his heat and was eliminated in the first round. But here is what people missed about Tokyo. Cooper had raced the entire high school season before that meet. He was running on empty while the pros had built their whole year around peaking in September. He took that feeling home to Texas. Back to class, back to training with Coach Chris Capo, obsessing over what went wrong. Cooper came into the 2026 indoor season completely different. He was not running on fumes anymore. He had a professional Nike contract. He built his entire season around one target, the World Indoor Championships in Poland. On January 24th, he ran 145.23 and broke the U.S. junior indoor record. That record was held by Donovan Brazier, the same world champion who had warned everyone about Cooper months earlier. February 1st at the Millrose Games, he ran the 600 in 114.15, a new world under-20 record. On February 14th at the ASIC Sound Invite, he ran 144.03 in the 800. That is another world under-20 record and the 2nd fastest American indoor time. March 1st, he won the USA Indoor Championships in 146.68. National champion against full professional competition. Still a high school student. 5 races, 5 wins, 3 world age group records. The World Indoor Championships were 3 weeks away. Belgium's Elliot Creston was the heavy gold medal favorite. Creston had finished on the podium at 3 straight global indoor championships. He was a decorated veteran who knew how to control the race. He had a formula that worked every single time. Cooper was seeded third. Nobody picked him to win. Semi-final on March 21st, he ran 1:44.29 and won. That was the fastest indoor 800 semi-final in 29 years. He eased off before the finish. He was not even trying. He became the youngest 800-meter finalist in world indoor history before the final even started. Nobody saw it coming in lane 8 at the Rio Olympics. A 24-year-old from Bloemfontein, South Africa, a city known for rugby, stepped onto that track and absolutely shocked the entire world. Wade van Niekerk didn't just win. He clocked 43.03 seconds in the 400-meter, crushing Michael Johnson's legendary world record of 43.18, a mark Johnson said only Usain Bolt could touch. It wasn't Bolt. It was a kid from South Africa that the world hadn't even noticed yet. After that sprint, Usain Bolt tracked him down. He told the media he'd already warned Wade in Jamaica that he would be the one to break the record and lead track and field when Bolt finally retired. This was a different breed of athlete. Van Niekerk is the only man to ever run sub-10, sub-20, and sub-44 seconds across the 100, 200, and 400-meter events. Not Bolt, not Johnson. No one else has ever broken those 3 major speed barriers in history. He captured the World Championships in 2015 and again in 2017. In London, he beat everyone by half a second. 2 days later, he lost the 200-meter gold by just 0.02 seconds. This was a man entering what should have been a decade of total dominance. Then came October 7th, 2017, a charity rugby match. One wrong step, a torn ACL and shredded cartilage in his knee. Surgery in Colorado followed. His official results page is a total blank for 2018 and 2019. Not a single result. 2 years completely erased. By the time the Tokyo Olympics arrived in 2021, Wade couldn't even make the 400-meter final. Imagine the world record holder failing to qualify. At the 2022 World Championships in Eugene, he finished in 5th place. By 2023 in Budapest, he was 7th. At the Paris Olympics, he skipped the 400 entirely and didn't even make the 200-meter finals. That is how far he fell. He even left Tanny Ans, the legendary coach who guided him to that world record. He moved to Florida to train under Lance Brauman alongside the Olympic champion, Noah Lyles. The hope was that elite American training would fix everything. It never clicked. By early 2025, he ended the arrangement and flew home. He was done with world-famous coaches. He started training with his stepfather, Steven Schwartz. His wife was expecting their second child. He needed to be home. He needed to return to the foundation that built him. Then came Tokyo 2025, the World Championships, the final event, the men's 4x400-meter relay. And it was pouring. Not just raining, but pools of standing water on the track. Every world-class runner in that field was struggling against the elements. Wade was on the 3rd leg, stuck in lane 1 where the water was deepest. He clocked a 43.26. No one else even came close to that speed. The next fastest split in the entire race was 43.93. South Africa took the bronze. His young teammates, Lyle, Zikithi, and Gardeo, were all standing on a global championship podium for the very first time. None of them had ever been there before. Wade showed up when they needed him most. That 43.26 in lane 1 during a literal typhoon is legendary. Under exchange pressure and heavy rain, it stands as one of the fastest relay splits in championship history. In dry conditions, that run is sub-43. Now it's 2026. Bloemfontein, the season opener at Free State Athletic Stadium, he runs the 100 in 10.13 and the 200 in 20.32. He visibly slowed down before the finish. These are the exact same events and the same stadium sequence he ran back in 2017, right before his greatest season ever. In 2017, he opened with nearly identical times on this same track. Then he went on to run those historic sub-10 and sub-20 times in Jamaica and Slovenia. The 2026 opener looks just like 2017. The difference? This time, that knee is no longer a question mark. Tokyo 2025 proved that. Wade van Niekerk is 33 years old now. He hasn't broken 44 seconds in years. The competition has shifted. Guys like Stephen Gardner and Michael Norman are younger and faster. They aren't carrying 8 years of injury baggage. Those are facts. But here is another fact. No one on this planet has ever run 43.03. That world record still stands a decade later. And for the first time since that rugby match, the physical signs and the environment are finally pointing in the right direction. That late phase engine, that extra gear no one else has at the 300-meter mark, showed up in the Tokyo rain in Lane 1. The mechanical foundation was back in Bloemfontein this February. Track and Field 2026 just received its first quiet warning. Not a press conference or a huge headline, just a fast February time and a margin of victory that was over halfway through the race. Nobody had done it, not in the history of college track, not once in the existence of indoor sprinting. Breaking 20 seconds in the 200-meter as a collegiate athlete? Never. Then, on March 14th, 2026, at the Randall Tyson Track Center in Arkansas, Garrett Collin did exactly that. The clock showed 19.95. The crowd went wild. College track was changed forever. Garrett was born in early 2004 in Georgia. He grew up in San Antonio, where his mother signed him up for track because the kid had too much energy to sit still. He went to Antonian College Prep, and by May 2022, he was sweeping regional titles. He broke every school record in the 100, 200, and 400-meter sprints. He anchored record-setting relay teams. He was named the Athlete of the Year at his school. He was the top recruit in Texas. His personal bests were 10.51, 20.66, and 46.88 in the sprints. Programs were begging for him. He picked Nebraska. As a freshman, he ran a 20.65. By sophomore year, he hit 20.25 and became an All-American champion. He was getting better fast, but Nebraska was just the beginning of his journey to the top. In August 2024, USC brought in Brenton Emanuel to coach sprints and hurdles. Emanuel coached Caland at Nebraska. When Caland followed him, that transfer changed the game entirely. At USC, something clicked. It was more than coaching, it was the energy in the building. Caland felt it too. He saw his teammates believing in themselves at a level he had never witnessed. That confidence was contagious and it changed his whole mindset. But the real technical grind was happening down at the starting blocks. Emanuel found the one flaw holding Colin back his start. He was a monster in the second half, but he would always dig a hole in those first 60 meters and then spend the race clawing back. After endless hours grinding, he finally had a complete race that was dangerous from gun to tape. That first season at USC, the Trojans took the overall NCAA indoor title in March 2025. It was their first team championship in 53 years. He entered 2026 with one clear goal, winning it all. In February, he smashed the USC record in New Mexico, a mark held by Olympic legend Andre DeGrasse since 2015. 2 weeks later at the Big Ten indoors in Indianapolis, he clocked 20.06. That was the third fastest indoor 200 in history and a world lead for 2026. But trust me, he was not done yet. Emanuel said Caland turned down a pro contract after 2025 because he felt like his work was not finished. He returned for the rings, and he was about to grab the biggest one yet at the NCAA Indoor Championships on March 14th, 2026. The 200-meter final was the meet's last individual race. In Heat 1, Wayne McCoy set a high bar with a 20.17. Caland lined up in the fast section against the number 2 seed, Arkansas star Galani Watkins. Watkins had just broken a record earlier that day. Before the gun, Emanuel described Caland as a ball of nerves pacing and moving constantly in the warm-up area. But once the gun fires, he becomes a different animal. And that is exactly what the crowd witnessed. He exploded off the blocks with that powerful start they had spent a year perfecting. He absolutely attacked the curve. He flew off the bend and down the home stretch. He drove hard through the line as the clock hit 1995. The stadium erupted. Kalin just became the first college athlete ever to break 20 seconds indoors. He crushed McCoy's previous time by a landslide. 0.22 seconds. Watkins took third. This was not a close race, it was a massive statement. The old American record from 2018 was gone. The facility record held since 2005, also gone. He was rewriting the history books. Just on. His 1995 is now the second fastest indoor 200 in world history. The only man to ever go faster indoors is Frank Fredericks of Namibia, who clocked 1992 in France. That world record stood for 30 years. As a college student, Kalin missed it by a mere 0.03 of a second on the clock. He now owns 2 of the 3 fastest college times ever recorded. He holds the absolute #1 spot and is also currently tied for #3. No other sprinter in collegiate history has ever sat that high on the all-time list. After the race, Kalin admitted he woke up convinced that going under 20 seconds was simply not possible. Then he stepped outside and changed his mind. He told himself, "I don't care, I'm doing it today. Now, the outdoor season is next." His outdoor best is already 1996. The world record is 1992. Garrett Kalin is only 22 years old. We haven't seen his absolute ceiling yet. Jordan Anthony just walked into the biggest indoor meet in America, lined up against an Olympic champ, and beat him by 0.06 seconds. And he is only 21 years old. It's his very first pro season, and the kid stayed completely calm through the whole thing. On March 1st, 2026, in Staten Island, the US ATF Championships gave the track world a moment absolutely nobody saw coming. The 60-meter final featured heavy hitters. Trayvon Bromell, a former world champion and one of the most explosive starters in the history of the sport, was ready to roll. Then there was Noah Lyles, the Olympic gold medalist, world champion, and the undisputed face of American track and field. And finally, Anthony, a rookie from Mississippi who grew up dreaming of winning the Heisman Trophy, not a national track and field title. When the gun went off, Anthony exploded. He hit the 30-meter mark in total control and never once looked back. He clocked 6.45 seconds. Bromell took second, and Noah Lyles, the man with 8 world titles, finished third. The rookie beat the king, and the sport simply hasn't been the same since. To get how big this is, you have to understand who Noah Lyles really is. This isn't just some fast guy on a track. Lyles took the 100-meter gold at the 2024 Paris Olympics, ending a massive drought for American sprinting. He holds the American 200-meter record at 19.31 seconds, set back at the 2022 World Championships. For years, he's been the loudest and most entertaining sprinter on the planet. He even created that iconic championship belt celebration. He built a massive brand. Lyles is a cultural icon in a sport that rarely produces them anymore. Before this race, Lyles hadn't actually competed at this indoor meet in over 9 years. His last appearance was back in 2018, where he finished a distant 9th. So when he showed up in 2026, he brought a message. He told reporters that anyone who thought he'd lose that belt simply didn't know Noah Lyles. He promised to go all out from the very start of the season. He wasn't afraid of anyone. And that is the man Jordan Anthony just took down. Now, here is the twist that separates Anthony's story from every other rising star narrative you have ever heard. He wasn't even supposed to be a sprinter. He was a wide receiver. He played college football at Kentucky, Texas A&M, and finally Arkansas. He hauled in 8 catches for 111 yards and a touchdown. Real football, real games. He once admitted that if you told him years ago he would be a pro sprinter, he would have laughed right in your face. He kept grinding in both sports until the track and field world completely took over his life. When it did, that football mentality followed. The raw explosiveness, composure under pressure, and the elite ability to perform in the biggest moments. Those aren't typical track skills. Those are football skills, translating perfectly into the 60-meter dash, a race decided in the first half by reaction time and raw acceleration. His 2025 college season was a massive warning that most people ignored. He crushed the competition for the NCAA indoor 60-meter title. Then he went outdoors and captured the NCAA title in the 100 meters. he became the first sprinter since 2017 to pull off that historic double. He swept the 100 at the SEC Championships, running 9.95. He won the Bowerman Award, the highest honor in college track. During his speech, he joked about a football player winning the Bowerman. That is crazy. Then he signed with Adidas, turned pro, and moved to Florida to train under coach Lance Brahman alongside the legendary Noah Lyles himself. Every single day, these two are in the same facility, pushing each other to the limit in practice. That detail matters more than people realize. But 2026 didn't exactly start off perfectly for Anthony. On February 1st, he raced at the Millrose Games and finished third. People immediately started claiming he'd already lost his edge, that he'd fallen off before his pro career even truly started. He didn't argue. He used it as fuel. 2 weeks later, at the Tyson Invitational in Fayetteville, Arkansas, he clocked a blistering 6.43 seconds. That time officially made him the fastest man in the world for 2026 and ranked him as the 10th fastest 60-meter sprinter ever recorded. He went from being counted out to world leader in just 14 days. Then he hit Staten Island and won the national title. After the race, Lyles personally handed Anthony the belt. The symbolism was obvious. Then Anthony spoke to NBC Sports and he did not hold back. He said, "I looked to my right and my left and I was like, I don't hear Noah. I don't see Trayvon. G's in the chat. The new generation is taking over. Today was the day I had to give them an eviction notice." When asked about training alongside Lyles, he kept it completely honest. "I enjoy training with Noah. Of course, we are going to talk smack. The sport is soft if we don't. I am bringing that football mentality. He is just bringing old age." He called the Olympic champion old on national television. At 21 years old, the kid is ice cold. Anthony now heads to Torun, Poland for the 2026 World Indoor Championships this March, entering as the world leader. Waiting for him is Kashane Thompson, the Olympic silver medalist from Jamaica,